Good evening, everyone. This is the Warner Robins the Warner Robins Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. We will offer a disclaimer for this evening's forum. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated does not endorse candidates on this forum. This forum is for educational purposes only. Soror President, you may begin.
Thank you. It is with great pleasure that I bring you greetings and also say good evening to our candidates and to all of our viewers that are with us this evening for this virtual Meet the Candidates Town Hall Forum. I am Rosalind Mitchell, the president of the Warner Robins Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. We bring this forum opportunity to allow Houston County residents to get to know more about our candidates, their platforms, and their visions for their positions. Since our chartering in 1989, the Warner Robins Alumni Chapter has always been engaged in voter education. Our community impact includes assisting with public policy legislation, building the Delta House through Habitat for Humanity, mentoring middle and high school young ladies, and awarding over $200,000 in scholarships to local high school graduates, as well as Central Georgia Technical College students. This evening, I have the distinct pleasure of welcoming and introducing our moderator for this evening's forum, who is none other than Mr. Marvin James II of 13 WMAZ. Marvin was born into a military family and traveled the world as an Air Force brat under the guidance of his father, retired Chief Marvin James. He graduated from Warner Robins High School and later Georgia Southern on an athletic scholarship with a degree in broadcast journalism. The day after graduation, Marvin was hired by 13 WMAZ in Macon, and over the past 24 years, he has served in several newsroom positions and management roles. He currently serves as the sports director and anchor for the 6 and 11 p.m. newscasts during the week. He is also a long-term member of First Baptist Church located on Garment Street in Warner Robins. Marvin is married to Dr. Demita James, and together they have one daughter, Yasmin Drew. So with no further ado, I bring you our moderator for this evening, Mr. Marvin James.
Sorry, Marvin, you're muted still. We got to unmute you.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you, Mrs. Mitchell. I appreciate that. And I want to thank all the lovely ladies of Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated, Sorority Incorporated, for the opportunity to be here tonight. It is indeed a pleasure to be with you all. Now, as we all know, that voting is extremely important, and we're glad you joined us for this voter education forum so that you could learn more about your local candidates running for Warner Robins City Council Post 2 seat and Centerville Post 4 seat. Now, as you know, my name is Marvin James, and I am a 24-year journalist with 13 WMAZ. Now, let me introduce my fellow moderator this evening, Ms. Kenitra Burnett. Now, she is a longtime resident of Houston County. She grew up in Warner Robins on the north side of the city. She is a proud 1990 graduate of Northside High School. Kenitra obtained her Bachelor of Science degree with biology from Georgia College and State University in 1995. She pledged at Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated in 1994 while at Georgia College and is the past president of the Warner Robins Alumni Chapter. Now, Kenitra is a registered diagnostic cardiac sonographer for a local cardiology practice where she has been for nearly 25 years. And she is also an avid Atlanta Teams fan. Kenitra? All right.
Thank you so much, Marv. I appreciate that introduction. Rise up.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Now, I guess we're going to move right along. And then the first round, you will get the opportunity to meet each candidate. And they'll be given 3 minutes to share information about themselves, their platform, and vision for this position. Now, let's meet our candidates. And we will start in alphabetical order. And the Warner Robins candidates, Mr. Charlie Bibb.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. I especially want to thank the Warner Robins Alumni Chapter, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, for hosting this forum, and the Divine Nine Sisters who foster the bonds of sisterhood. And intelligence is the torch of wisdom. I did my homework. Just wanted y'all to know that. So I just also want to special thanks to Miss Jackson, Rosalind Mitchell, and also to thank Kenitra Burnett for reaching out to me to be a part of this forum. I appreciate it, so we can get the message out there of what we stand for. So I appreciate that. I've lived in Warner Robins for 44 years. I moved here as an Air Force brat myself when I was 10 years old, and I call this city my home. Don't call any other place. I was born in England and lived in Oregon for 6 years, but this is my home. And so I ran 4 years ago wanting to change. I ran 4 years ago on the platform with unity in mind was my tag phrase, because there was just so much turmoil going on inside of the city. It was always on the news. It was always bad publicity. And I really got mad. My wife told me, hey, you ought to get off the couch and do something about it instead of yell at the TV. So I actually did that. I've been serving my community for a long time, and it was another way that I could serve. So I got off the couch, I ran, I won the post, and man, hold on, be careful what you run for, right? And then you grab a hold of it. Learn so much as I've been running. And in saying that, with the new administration coming on, with the new mayor, things have just been running really good. That unity in mind has definitely changed. It has changed inside of the city. We are getting things accomplished, no bickering going on, but a lot of unity and a lot of just the same thought of what we want to see grow in our city. And I'm glad to be a part of that team. And so it's an honor for me again to run. And that's why I'm running for another 4 years of city council.
All right, let me see. Am I muted? All right, thank you, Mr. Bibb. We appreciate that, sir. All right, now we will hear from Mr. Ellis Carter.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Again, thank you so much, Mr. James, Ms. Burnett, Ms. Mitchell, Mr. Bibb, and Mr. Word. Hey, thank y'all so much for this opportunity. Here's a breakdown. I'm originally from Albany, Georgia, but I've called Warner Robins home now for the last 21 years. I love it here. Recently retired Air Force, retired in September. As you know, my opponent mentioned, the city is kind of going in the right direction, but I still feel like there's still so much more that needs to be done. And this city has so much potential. And, I'm a father of 4, have 2 grandkids, and they're here a lot. They don't live here anymore, but they're here a lot. And I really want to be somewhere where they could always come and eventually call home. And one of the reasons I'm running is because, I feel like the city has so much potential and I want to be a part of the movement, to work with the current administration and, take Warner Robins just to another level that I really feel it should have already been. Downtown really need to be developed. I feel like that's something that kind of behind right now. So that's, one of the things that I want to run up on as well. So looking forward to the race, looking forward to everyone, getting out and vote. And hopefully I'm your next councilman here in Warner Robins for post 2.
All right, thank you, Mr. Carter. We appreciate you as well. Next, we will listen to the Centerville candidates, Mr. Edward D. Armijo.
Good evening. Thank you to the Warner Robins alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority and Mr. Marvin James from WMAZ 13 News for hosting this event. I am Edward Armijo, the incumbent councilman for the city of Centerville, post 4. I have successfully served this great city of Centerville for 8 years. During these years, our city has accomplished many goals, supporting Centerville's growth and improvements for its citizens. These accomplishments include the creation of Center Park, the new Centerville Public Works Facility, and the new state-of-the-art Centerville Fire Department. I'm especially proud of serving with Post 1 Councilman Robert Byrd, Post 2 Councilman Justin Wright, Post 3 Councilman Michael Evans, and of course, Mayor John Harley. This year, I've been elected to District 6 3rd Vice President position. I have also achieved the Certificate of Excellence, which is a significant educational milestone from the University of Georgia, Carl Vinson Institute of Government. I pride myself with not just living in Centerville, but being an active member of our community. I'm an Eagle Scout and a troop committee member of the Centerville Troop 400, which 3 of my grandsons belong. I'm an active member of the Centerville Lions Club and strongly support the Centerville Rotary Club as well. I support local businesses, such as the Snell Grove Restaurant, owned by Andy and Debbie Cannon, for the past 30 years in Centerville, and who are members of the Rolling Thunder Georgia No. 3, which often supports Centerville events. I'm a volunteer, as is the mayor, at the Centerville Recycle Center when time permits. I am the founder of the Eagle Springs Neighborhood Watch Group and strong supporter of Crime Stopper. I am a strong believer in God and country, having honorably served 24 years in the United States Air Force. I am still proudly serving as a civil servant for more than 22 years of experience. I am currently the Force Authorization Management Flight Chief for the 440th Supply Chain Operations Squadron. I'm an active member of the TRIA Enlisted Association Chapter 94 and also a life member of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. Service to others is paramount to me. Making myself available to my citizens is what I do. When I'm contacted, I respond in a timely manner to resolve any issues brought to my attention. That would not be made possible without the support and leadership of our city directors. I am proud of my 3 successful daughters, 3 granddaughters, and 4 grandsons. I was advised 2 things when I was a newly elected official. Number 1 is that I represent the city as a whole. And number 2 is that many of our citizens are on a fixed income. I care about our senior citizens. However, I also care about young families growing up in Centerville. These young families are why we are planning to add another playground to Center Park. If you care about Centerville as I do, I solicit your votes. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir, Mr. Armijo. We appreciate those words. And our last but not least candidate is Mr. Larry P. Word Jr. Sir.
Unmute yourself, Mr. Word. We can't hear you.
My apologies. Anyway, I want to thank you all for inviting me here. This is a first for me. This is my very first political event. Yeah, so I'm rather excited about that. I'm looking forward to many more events to come. The city of Centerville is a wonderful place. It's a pocket community where people know one another. It's a friendly community. It's a community where people treat one another with a little respect and tolerance for their right to do what they want to without being intruded upon by others. Yeah, that's a great thing. It really is. But the city of Centerville is in need of additional revenue streams. In order to accomplish everything they need and to make life better for its citizens, it needs to diversify and get other sources of income coming in. Mr. Byrd and I, who serves on the council, have one thing in common that I know of, and probably many others, and that's an aversion to the raising of personal property taxes. Personal property taxes are a killer of generational wealth. Every time a family loses a home to the tax man, a family has been deprived of generational wealth. If at all possible, I would like to see personal property taxes eliminated. I would like to see HOAs barred from taking a family's home. The way to do this, to my way of thinking, is to install in the city of Centerville some light industrial parks that are zoned for light industrial use. That would give not only an additional revenue stream, it would provide opportunities for young college graduates to open businesses and conduct research in an affordable manner. Yeah, and I sincerely hope we're able to pull that off. I know it's possible. It just requires a little willpower and determination. Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Word, and to the rest of our candidates. Now, in round two, each candidate will be asked a series of questions and giving a 2-minute time limit to answer. Mr. Bibb, in recent years, there has been a shortage of police officers in Warner Robins. How would you support hiring efforts and diversity in the police force?
Man, I'm so glad you guys asked that. We are so proud of what we've accomplished in the Warner Robins PD to this point. We have been so behind the curve of officers coming on our workforce. And we know that was a big reality check of what we were paying our officers. We knew all across the board the city employees were not making what they should. That was no doubt from me stepping into office from day one. I was handed a 2012 pay study, and a 2012 pay study to where Warner Robins employees weren't even up to that. And here we sat in 2022. That hurt my heart, just blew me away. And so with this administration, we dug into the budget and we were bound and determined to find that money to bring our employees, all of our employees. But we especially knew by doing that, Mr. James, that we were going to elevate the police force and also our fire department. We were going to bring it up to a great competitive wage to where people wouldn't leave our police force and actually go join others, but actually people would do the opposite. They would come join ours. We also made an initiative for veterans who are retiring to make it easier to make that shift from being in retirement. If they wanted to come into the police force, we made it a little bit easier for them to do that and not so hard for them to come on our force. And I want to tell you over the last few months, we've instilled 12 new officers that I know of, and there's 3 more in the queue in school right now, ready to join our workforce. And so we have done a great job in our police. We got some ways to go, but we have done a great job and we are on the move. That's why I love this administration so much of what we're accomplishing. Those pay raises made a difference in our city. And we're going to continue to do that. We're not done with the pay raises, and I will say that. We're going to continue every year to look into the budget to bring Warner Robins and our salaries, not just on average, but above par, so people will want to come work with Warner Robins.
Thank you, Mr. Bibb. Mr. Carter, same question. In recent years, there have been a shortage of police officers in Warner Robins. How would you support hiring efforts and diversity in the police force?
Hey, thanks for the question, sir. One of the things I think we could do is go out and try to recruit good officers. And we can start as soon as, like I said, veterans. You have a lot of veterans that right here on this base that work with security forces who retire here in the area or separate in the area. We can start there. Also, just here within the state, find ones and see how can we offer, certain bonuses, packages, something just to attract them here to Warner Robins. And also, give them good pay, look at what they're paying in surrounding areas and try to match that or beat it, so we can have officers here. They're very important. We need them, especially with the city continuing to grow. We want to continue to make sure the city is safe. And by doing that, we need to make sure we have a healthy force. So whatever it takes to try to bring in more officers that can help out here in the community, I'm all in for it. So I'll be doing some research once elected and see what we can do to bring in good officers and make sure they're paid well and they love this place and call it home.
Thank you, sir, Mr. Carter. Now, question number 2 with another 2-minute limit, and you guys have done great honoring that. Mr. Carter, this time, how would you support the mayor in achieving a livable wage for city employees?
Good question, sir. So I love what they did with the pay raise with the city employees. From my understanding, they haven't had a pay raise in a while. One of the things I look at is continue to find ways to bring money into the city. And more money we have in the city, we kind of help out, with the budget. So we can continue to make sure that our employees here for the city of Warner Robins can get the right amount of pay. Looking at other cities, what they make, we don't want to lose anybody. Like I said, we're growing and I have a vision for the city really to get large. So we're going to need everybody and we're going to need more people. So whatever we can do to bring in extra revenue so we can continue to pay our city employees, I'll be looking at that and also working close with the mayor and others on the council so we could make sure our city employees never go a drought without their proper pay.
Thank you, sir. Now, Mr. Bibb, same question. How would you support the mayor achieving a livable wage for city employees?
Well, I'm going to continue to do what we're already doing. And so last year we gave across the board a 10% pay raise. And so what we did as a city this year, when we dug in and found that money, all of us worked together very hard. We were bound and determined to not live past that 2012 pay study. We were bound and determined to bring our employees up to a livable wage of where they need to be. And I think we've accomplished that. I don't know if people realize, but we worked from the bottom up this year. We went from the lowest paying job and gave these people all the way to the top, the people at the bottom, the highest pay raise there was. And I think some of the highest pay raise is 38%. I'm going to tell you something that's life-changing to these people. As we've talked to city employees after that, rumors were going around, but I'm telling you, nobody believed that. I'm talking about 10% the year before and 38% this year. That's a 48% pay raise. I am happy to say that we dug in and did the work that we needed to do to get that done. And like I said, this administration is still bound and determined not to rest there. We want to bring our employees even further than that. Like I said, we are going to be a place where people want to come and work. And we have plenty of positions inside of the city of Warner Robins. We are hiring and we need people really bad to come out and fill these jobs. We have great benefits at the city. I'm gonna say this. I work at Robins Air Force Base and so do my wife, but we don't take the insurance there. We take the insurance through the city because our benefits package is so great and so good that you can't help to be a part of that. So working at the city right now, man, this is an awesome place to come get a job. And we are hiring and we ask you to come on. And we're not done bringing these people up to where they need to be. I promise you that. We're not done yet.
All right. Thank you both for those answers. Kenitra?
Awesome. Thank you guys for continuing to adhere to that time. And so we're going to go with our next question, starting with Mr. Bibb. So there are a growing number of homeless people in Warner Robins. The current administration has made great strides to address this issue by purchasing a space for a homeless shelter. How would you support the efforts to continue addressing the homeless issue of the city? 2 minutes.
Great question. The only administration to address the homeless issue in Warner Robins, a lot of talk, but this administration has actually addressed that. We have purchased a building. We're in the process of remodeling that building. We've partnered with United Way to address our homeless situation inside of Warner Robins to get the people that want help. And that's a key that I say that, the ones that want help. There's a lot of people in the street you think would like to come off, but they're satisfied being there. And we have a lot of mental health issues and mental health cases along with just being homeless. There's a lot of other issues that we deal with inside of Warner Robins when it comes to the homeless. But our homeless shelter is there not only to provide a roof over their head, but actually to work with these individuals to get them back into society, back into working member of society that actually pours into the community and just not asked to take from. And so this is our goal when it comes to that. So we're going to continue to support the homeless shelter that we have created in Warner Robins. And this is the only the beginning. You know, churches in our area, they've helped the best they can and where they can. And they show that they come to the meeting like no tomorrow. That place was packed full of people in our community that want to help the homeless. So I believe that we're on the right track. We are going to have some growing pains and we're going to learn along the way, but it's exciting to see what we're going to do for the city of Warner Robins when it comes to our homeless.
Thank you, Mr. Bibb. Mr. Carter, I'm going to restate the question, but it's the same question for you as well. There are a growing number of homeless people in Warner Robins. The current administration has made great strides to address this issue by purchasing space for a homeless shelter. How would you support the efforts to continue addressing the homeless issue of the city?
Thanks for that question, ma'am. I definitely work with the mayor and the current administration to, make sure we take care of those who are homeless. Another part, why we have such an increase with homeless people here in the area. So I definitely want to look into that as well. But working with some of the nonprofits and other organizations to see how we could continue to have places we can house them, because you would hate to see anyone out in the cold. So I feel like here in the city, we can make sure that we take care of individuals. Once they're here in Warner Robins, in my opinion, they're residents, they're citizens now. So we have to take care of them. But at the same time, we don't want to get an influx too many. So we just need to figure out why is this problem growing and how can we kind of also fix that as well. But take care of the ones that are here and see what we can do to prevent, it continuing to grow.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. So our next question, Mr. Carter, we'll start with you. There are several abandoned buildings and blighted buildings of concern, particularly on the north side of Warner Robins. How would you address that concern?
Thanks for that question. As a real estate agent, I think some of the buildings, ones that can be saved, we can try to find investors to try to come in and hopefully invest in these buildings and give them where they're looking. They look good, so they're not outsourced. Also, as you spoke of, north side of town, I'm from the north side of town right now. I live on the north side of town, so there's a lot of potential here on this side as well. So we get some investors to come in and fix up some of these old buildings, rundown buildings. I think that'll help out a lot. Once they can't be saved, we got to get in contact with the homeowners or the owners of the buildings and see what we can do, either get them to do it or tear down the buildings. But we can't have buildings that make the city look bad. So we have to do everything we can to try to at least get them fixed up or torn down.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Mr. Bibb, that will be the same question for you. I'll restate it. There have been, I lost my place. There are several abandoned buildings and blighted buildings of concern, particularly on the north side of Warner Robins. How would you address those concerns?
So we are addressing those concerns. We've put together a blight committee And we're going to actually take action every time this administration has put together a committee. They're actually doing something to take an action. We know that there are some blighted properties in Warner Robins, and we're going to address those. But at the same time, you got to be very careful when you deal with blighted communities. There are laws, there are steps that you have to take. You can't just go in there and just take down somebody's property. There are investors that are looking in the north side of town right now in communication with some of those buildings. So as good industry comes in on the north side of town, that's what we need to do. We need to focus around the sports complex that we have over there in that area where I grew up in. Those were all my old stomping grounds at Northside High School. Ran all over that area. So that's my hometown over there. And there are some people looking at those properties to bring that up. There's some other things that we could do around PV Park and the sports complex to invest some more into that area to bring sporting events like travel baseball, travel softball, travel football, some things to that area, which will bring businesses. It will bring people over to that area that want to spend money in that area. And so we're looking at ways to do that also. We want to take care of some of the blighted houses and some of the blighted businesses, and we're going to attack that. And you're going to see a lot coming up in the next few years when it comes to blight. We're actually, again, doing something about it. This administration is not about talk. We're about taking action, and we're getting a lot done.
Thank you both for your answers. Next, I'll hand it back to Mr. James.
Appreciate it, Kenesha. Now, next question with another 2-minute time limit. For Mr. Bibb, we'll start with you. There have been numerous discussions about downtown development in Warner Robins. You all both have alluded to that already. How would you support the efforts to develop a downtown city center?
So thank you, Mr. James. Listen, it's enough to talk about it. We've heard talk about a downtown in Warner Robins for 20-something years. And that's all it's been is a lot of talk. What we have done is we have went out and purchased that property. Before you can anybody can say they want a downtown, but you got to take action to do that. In order to do something downtown, you have to own the property. The city don't own the property down there, and you can't just push these people out. And so what we've done is communicated with the community and those business owners down there what the city wants to do. And so there have been a lot of the business owners down there that have said, hey, listen, I'm up for move and sale, and they have communicated us. We have reached out to them, and we're still in the process of communicating with other business owners down there. I think that to date right now, we'll gladly say, I think we're about 70% on 70% of the businesses down there. And when we get the other 30, you're going to see a beautiful downtown, not just talking about it. It's already in the plans and in the work to happen. It's going to happen. We've bought from the credit union, all those buildings all the way up that side. We almost own 2 completely pie-shaped corners over there right now. And by the end of the year, you should see some dirt moving over there. And so we're just not talking about it. We're going to do it. This administration is going to get this done. And I'm glad to be a part of that, glad to raise my hand to purchase those properties, to be a part of a team that's actually going to do something about it. And that's why I want to run again. I want to see some of these things that we have worked on doing to can keep the accomplishment of what we've set out to do.
Thank you, Mr. Bibb. Now, Mr. Carter, same question. There have been numerous discussions about downtown development in Warner Robins. How would you support the efforts to develop a downtown city center?
Definitely support the efforts to develop in downtown. It's something I feel like is well overdue here in Warner Robins. And one of the main things that I focus on my platform, because I feel like the residents here in Warner Robins deserve that. Shouldn't have to go to Atlanta, Macon, Savannah, just to have a good time in downtown. So it's good right now, the current administration purchasing land, but I just feel like, hey, we got to move a little quicker with some things. So whatever we have to do to get in there to get this thing rolling, because citizens, they're tired of just hearing about it. It's been about 20, 30 plus years. They really want to see some action. They want to see things moving. So whatever we have to do with the current business owners there to try to work things out. And so we can start having lofts, bars, and other places, family friendly places. I think it'd be good. I want to see it regardless. However this election goes, I want to see a downtown. It's very passionate to me. So that'll be one of the things from day one that I'll be talking with the mayor and my fellow councilmen about, like, hey, we got to get this thing rolling. So I can't wait. I'm ready. and I 1000% support it.
All right. Now, your next question, Mr. Carter. Many citizens of Warner Robins have expressed interest in entertainment, conference center, and hotels. Do you support the effort to bring more entertainment attractions to the area? And would you support, and how would you support the creation of a conference center and hotel?
Yes, sir. I fully support that as well. That kind of go with the downtown, just entertainment, something to do here. You know, you shouldn't have to drive all the other locations to, have fun. So yes, I know we had a conversation with someone. They said the Houston County Culture Center they're working on. I think it should be larger. Warner Robins is in a great location, centrally located. We can have so many people from East Georgia, West Georgia, North, South Georgia come in, spend money, which, give more revenue here to the city. Just bring different concerts. I mean, rock, rap, country, whatever it may be. Just on a Friday, Saturday night, just have a good time. We deserve that. It's well overdue. So whatever it takes to get that going, I'm with it. I just want to have a good time here at home. I shouldn't have to always leave and have a good time. I want to have a good time here. And I think the citizens here at Warner Robins want to do the same. So that's another thing I would fully back no matter what.
All right. Now, Mr. Bibb, same question. Many citizens of Warner Robins have expressed interest in the entertainment, conference center, and hotels. Do you support the effort to bring more entertainment attractions to the area? And would you support, and how would you support the creation of conference centers and a hotel?
I absolutely do support that. But here's the bottom line and the facts to that. We are working in collaboration with Houston County and the Board of Education to build a fine arts center, which is going to have concerts and venues like that. When you talk about building a hotel and a conference center, you got to have funds to do that. It's nice to talk about it and say it, but the money's got to come from somewhere. And so when you're a city that's just brought the employees up to a livable wage and you're working on still taking care of your families here in Warner Robins, the taxpayers of Warner Robins have elected councilmen and the mayor to be financially responsible with the city of Warner Robins and their finances. And it's okay and a good talking point to say that. But the reality is of doing that is another project in itself. Can we do it? Do we want to work towards that? Absolutely, we do. We talked about having an amphitheater and some other things going on downtown, what we got going on. The talk is there and we're moving forward. Yeah, we get in and brainstorm and talk about all kind of stuff, but we also have to be physically responsible. The citizens of Warner Robins can say all they want to about what they want, but again, you have to have the money in order to get these things done. And so we're looking in every avenue to bring Warner Robins to a place where people stay here and spend their money and not go to Macon, not go to Perry, but to stay in Warner Robins. And we're in the process of doing that. And I think we're doing a great job.
Awesome. Thank you both for your answers on those. Our next question, we'll start with you, Mr. Bibb. The city of Warner Robins is in need of affordable, reliable transportation. How would you address the need for public transportation?
Man, just had this conversation the other day. So when we talk about affordable public transportation, you're talking about another millions of dollars to get that off the ground. You're talking about a lot of money. And I would love to see it. Do we need it? Absolutely. There have been studies done in Warner Robins that have said it's going to be very difficult to do and very costly to do in Warner Robins. And I would love to see it happen. But again, me sitting here, and most candidates won't do this, but me sitting here telling you that you're going to have some public transportation, I'd like to see that happen. I don't see that happen in no time in the near future soon because of our budget and where we're at. We'd have to come across a ton of money. We'd have to get some grants, some state and federal grants out there. And there's not a lot of state and federal grants out there for transportation. And you can go to any major city and see the budget when it comes to transportation. It ends up being a hole where money's just dumped into it. It doesn't generate the revenue back into the city. And so I'm not against city transportation. I'm just telling you at this present time, I don't see the city stepping into that avenue And that's just the truth because of our budget.
Thank you for that answer. Mr. Carter, same question. The city of Warner Robins is in need of affordable, reliable transportation. How would you address the need for public transportation?
Hey, thanks for the question, ma'am. I understand, budget and things take money, but we'll have to reach out state, federal levels to try to get grants, see how we can pull that money in. It's unsafe for city of Warner Robins of its size to not have public transportation. We can give 1,000 different excuses, but for the citizens here not to have public transportation it's not good at all. So we got to figure out a way where we can get it, where we cut some money here, whatever we need to do. But our citizens here should not have to do taxi, Uber, Lyft, all these other ways to get somewhere when you got to sit at 80,000 plus people and we don't have public transportation. So that is something I will address. I will look into it, see how we can come up with them funds. Even like I said, we have to go to state or federal level, but to just tell the citizens of Warner Robins that, hey, you just got to wait. Those who don't have transportation, no, I don't think that's a good answer in my opinion. So whatever it takes to get us public transportation, I'll be looking into it and see what we do and see how quickly we can make it happen.
Thank you for that answer, Mr. Carter. So we're up to our next question, and we're getting there. We're getting there. Thank you guys for hanging in with us. And this is giving our audience a chance to really get to know all of you, and it's really important. So we thank you so much for hanging in with us. So your next question, Mr. Carter, how do you plan to address and support leadership's plan to address economic growth and development?
I think it's one of the things that I mentioned when, that I've been speaking with everybody. Just trying to find ways that we continue to bring money here in Warner Robins. I think what the current administration is doing is good, but we can continue, brainstorming, bringing other ways that we bring money into the city and, fund a lot of the things that the citizens here of Warner Robins want to do. So I'm open to ideas, open to the administration, laying out the budget, seeing what's in the budget and things that, which that we probably could remove from the budget. So we can save the citizens here in Warner Robins money. There are some things that I feel like current administration probably could have done a little differently, be honest with you. But again, once I'm elected and I can actually be in those conversations, I can bring that up to the administration. But I want to save the citizens here at Warner Robins money and the money that we save, pour back into the community so that we could benefit. So.
Thank you for your answer, Mr. Carter. Mr. Bibb, that'll be the same question for you. How do you plan to address support leadership's plan for economic growth and development?
Oh, that's a great question. We are doing a great job in economic development. We have the light industrial park going on off of 41 with the joint development with Peach County. We have 2 new industries coming in, one of them Platt. And the average, I think the lowest paying job there is $50,000, and it's going to bring 125 jobs to Warner Robins, and we have industries coming in like that. So let me tell you about working with economic and development. It's easier on the other side of the desk. Before I was running to say a lot of stuff until you get on this side of the desk and you look at the numbers and you understand what you're dealing with. And understand the budget of the city, what you can and can't do. When you deal with the developers, when you deal with the people that have all the signs on all the land around Warner Robins, a lot of the times they're not going to tell you what they're doing. They're not going to tell you what they're doing because they're dealing with these developers that are coming in that want to buy this property and what they're going to do. They keep it hush hush and they keep it very quiet to themselves until it's time to reveal that. And a lot of times these landowners and developers that come in want that to happen. They don't want word spreading out. They don't want competition for the land. There's a lot of things. So when the council and the mayor get involved in some of these discussions, we're coming into the stages where they're already wanting to come into Warner Robins, and we get to be a part of that. We get to be a part of making the deals on the taxes, what we want to see happen. And that's the great part of that. And there is a lot of people that are coming into Warner Robins. And I'm just going to be honest with you with the holdup. We have 4 main trunks, sewer trunks. We have one in over on Lake Joy. We have one in the Kroger area, South House and Lake Road. We have one in Hilltop and one in Bonaire. that the past administration didn't vote on. And as soon as I got into office, we voted for that infrastructure bill. We voted for a $20 million bond. Since then, we've received a $9 million grant and another $3 million grant to upgrade the infrastructure of Warner Robins. And when you see these trunks being put in and the pipe capacity for the sewer growth, you're going to see Warner Robins. We haven't even seen growth yet. They say boom, Warner Robins. When these infrastructure is actually being done right now, it's in the process. You can't see it, but it's in the process of being done. When you see that, you're going to see Warner Robins boom like there's no tomorrow. There are all kind of developers that are talking about coming in. I work very close with Mr. Bateman and Scott Free here in Warner Robins. I have a great relationship with them, have great communication with them about what's going on. So there's a lot of stuff to come, a lot of stuff coming.
Thank you, Mr. Bibb, for that answer. So I'm checking right now to see if we have any questions in the chat and see if we have any questions. And I'm going to hand it over to you, Marvin. And I'll keep you posted if I get message that we have any questions in the chat before we go on to closing out with Warner Robins City Council candidates. So just hang tight for just 1 second. Let me find out. I think there's a little bit of a delay. So let me see. All right, so far, let's see what we got. So it's my first person says that you guys have already kind of addressed one of the questions that was in the chat, which was the public transportation. So that's of interest. So we're still checking. Go ahead and unmute, Marv. Just in case. I think we may be, I don't want us to move too fast, but I want to make sure that we got all the questions for the candidates before we let our Warner Robins City Council candidates go. So it doesn't look like we have any follow-up questions from the audience at this time. So I'm gonna hand it over to you, Marv.
All right. Well, finally, we'll just have the closing remarks from each of our Warner Robins candidates. Mr. Bibb, your closing remarks right now begin with 2-minute limit.
It's been an awesome privilege to serve Warner Robins these last 4 years. I have absolutely had the time of my life serving the city of Warner Robins and its citizens. I've actually enjoyed doing people say that all the time. Do you actually enjoy that? I'm like, yeah, I really love what I do. And I have accomplished so much in the last 4 years. When I first got elected, we passed that infrastructure bill. We did the city charter, which is way outdated. And I was very proud of that. We brought the parade back to Warner Robins. We have done so much. We're watching the city grow, bringing industry in, bringing economic development in. We're purchasing the land to build a whole new city center. And man, I wish I could let you see a glimpse of what the plans are for downtown area. People are going to be absolutely amazed at what's going on down there and what we're actually doing. I know Mr. Carter said something about tired of talking about it. I'm with him on that. We were tired of talking about it. And we're actually doing something about it. And so we're in those stages of getting that done. And I ask the citizens of Warner Robins to keep me in office. I have been there 4 years. I've sat behind the desk. I know the ins and outs. I know what's going on. I absolutely love working with Mayor LaRhonda Patrick. She is a dream to work with as a leader. She is very educated, very smart. She just doesn't get up there and say she knows it all. She studies, she looks into it, and she informs us. And I love that about her. She communicates with the council, informs us. And not one time in office has she ever called me and asked me to vote a certain way. And I appreciate that when it comes to her. The other councilman in Warner Robins, Mr. Curtis, Mr. Holmes, Kevin Lashley, Keith Loritzen, and Derek Mack. We are working well as a team. We are working very, very well together. And we want to keep this momentum going. We're doing great things for the city of Warner Robins. There's no fussing going on. We are moving right ahead, because when you're on the same track, when you're headed the same direction, unity takes place. And man, look at what you can get done. And I'm proud to be a part of that and want to continue. So I ask you to vote Charlie Bibb on November the 7th. Early voting is still going on. But if you'd like to get out on November the 7th, election day, I ask you to vote for the incumbent Charlie Bibb. And I'd love to serve the city of Warner Robins 4 more years.
Okay, before you go, Mr. Bibb, and before you go on, Marvin, I did get some questions. I was moving a little too fast. So what we'll do is we'll do a couple of them, because we're belaboring time. We're running low on time, and I don't want our Centerville city councilmen to not get the time that they deserve as well. So I'm just going to propose a couple questions with you, and we'll start with Mr. Bibb. And then we'll ask the same question to Mr. Carter, and we'll do a couple questions that we got on the YouTube chat, because we're live on YouTube. So let me pull that up here.
Can I do my closing statement all over again?
No.
I hear you, girl. I hear you.
But we are recording, so go back and listen again.
Wow.
Okay, so here we go. Back to the homelessness issue, Mr. Bibb, and the audience would like to know: have you all sought grant funds to support and address the homelessness?
Yes, we have. We have. Another thing this administration has done is we've actually hired a grant writer, and her whole purpose is to go out and find grants from the state and the federal government. And so we have a whole department that is actually out there trying to get state and federal money to help this. But you guys know we partnered with United Way, and United Way is actually going to run the center. It's not actually going to come out of the city's budget. It's United Way. We're supplying the building. And we're supplying the upkeep and the maintenance of the building, and United Way will actually run that. So it's not actually coming out of the city budget, which is absolutely amazing. And the mayor had worked out that deal and got that accomplished. So she deserves all the kudos in the world for what she did for the homeless in Warner Robins. She definitely didn't talk, and she did something about it. And I was very glad to be a part of what she did for the homeless people. So, and we're going to continue. We're not done. I know we're probably going to get a warming center again up this year when it turns cold, for the homeless not to be out in the cold. We're already preparing for all that. So, yep, we're very focused on what's going on in Warner Robins. And I want to say something else too. Sometimes the drawback, actually, when you have such a successful homeless shelter like that, and you actually do something in Warner Robins, other cities get the wind of that, and they put their homeless people on a bus and send them to your city. And so you got to, tit for tat, when you actually address the homeless, it actually kind of can create another problem too. So we're looking into that. We're tracking all the homeless. We're tracking where they come from, their name, what's going on in their life. We just don't put them in a center. We're actually putting them in a database and keeping track of all what's going on inside of our city. So a lot of efforts going into our homeless shelter. We're very proud of that.
That's awesome. Thank you for the answer, Mr. Bibb. Mr. Carter, because that sounds like that was already a knowledge question about what the current administration is doing. I'm gonna ask you to answer on that, but I will give you this question here. This is from a viewer, Armando Valles, and he says, I am a Houston County resident. If you are elected or reelected, what are your plans to improve the lives of people with disabilities in Warner Robins?
Hey, thanks for that question. Let's kind of go back to, trying to find grants at the state and local level to kind of help those with disabilities. Again, like I said, homeless people, also those with disability, we want to make sure we take care of everybody, so no one to be exempt. So we're looking to ways that other cities are doing that's working and seeking to incorporate that here in Warner Robins. don't want to spend too many brain cells. If we could look somewhere else and say, okay, that's working there, why can't we do it here? So those with disability, we'll see what we can do within the law, and that's fair, and take care of our citizens that do have disabilities. So they won't be ignored. They're not forgotten. They have a voice. We're here for all people. Where I am, I'm here for all people. So we'll definitely make sure we take care of those with disabilities.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Mr. Bibb, same question. He wants to know, Mr. Armando Valles, he's a Houston County resident, and he would like to know the plans to improve the lives of people with disabilities in Warner Robins.
So we've already started that initiative. A lot of people don't know, but we installed a crosswalk at Kimberly and Russell Parkway. And if you, a lot of us probably haven't heard, but if you walk up to that crosswalk, it actually speaks to you and tells you what's going on. It tells you the time you got to cross the road. And that's just one thing that we've actually done to address that. We had a citizen call in and say, hey, I frequent this enough, and we put enough time and effort into that citizen who used that area all that time to go in and install that. And so we're looking at another initiative as of being a pilot of that crosswalk. We'll look at other places that need those crosswalks and begin to install those. Also, I know that Trees and Greens own a piece of property over there off of South Pleasant Hill, and their longtime dream is to build a handicap park over there for the people with disabilities, and that would be great. A lot of people don't know, but my daughter was handicapped. She passed away in 2015 at the age of 21. But she was handicapped. She was in a wheelchair, legally blind, and she struggled. So if there's anybody that knows about disabilities and things to do for people inside of our community, man, you know, I'm going to be all for that. I will do everything that I can to make sure that our people in our community with that have disabilities that are able to function inside of our city.
Awesome. Thank you for that answer. We'll stay with you, Mr. Bibb. We have one viewer, Mrs. Lowe, Miss Felicia Lowe. With all the new development, how will the city ensure equitable bidding processes?
So we have that in place already in the city of Warner Robins. Everything that we have that meets that criteria that has to go out to out for bidding. We actually put that out for bidding in the city of Warner Robins. And I would challenge any business out there, come be a vendor at Warner Robins, put your name in there. Also put your name in the hat of what you actually do inside of that business, so that when those opportunities come up, that you can be flagged for that. And you can get an email saying, hey, we have this. So that way you can get put in a bid on that. We do a great bidding process when it comes to Warner Robins. We always, here in Warner Robins, don't take the lowest bid. Well, we don't take the highest bid a lot of times, but we're going to take the bid of the company that can do the best job and is going to do the city well, not only for that particular item, whatever they're putting in, but the follow-up, the warranty behind that. And so we want to support people that are here locally. And I want to say this too, if you are a local business and you see a bid, you have a step up on anybody around here, anybody from the outside, you have a step up because you are a local business. And a lot of people don't know that, but that is true. You get so many more points for being a business in Warner Robins. So we want to support our hometown people as much as we can.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that answer. Mr. Carter, how would you do the same? How would you support equitable bidding processes if you are elected?
I say definitely look into the city bidding policy, but always, I feel like, hey, take care of home first. If it's a company here in Warner Robins, try to look at them first and state before we go reaching out. I know there are times you may have to reach across the border outside the city limits, but just want to make sure it's fair. You look and, and also cost. We got to look at that too. Someone a few $1,000s cheaper, and they say the citizens of Warner Robins a few $1,000s, we definitely want to go with them, but also, want to make sure that they do good work as well. So when it comes down with penny pinching, we're going to make sure we get the right people and we save as much money as possible. But at the same time, we want to make sure we take care of those here first. And then if we get someone here first, good. If not, we'll look outside and make sure it's something that's financially good for the city.
Awesome. Thank you for your answer. Marv, did you get that question?
I did.
Awesome. I'll let you take that.
Okay, and we'll I guess we'll toss this out to Mr. Bibb. How is the city supporting the efforts to bring affordable housing to the area?
So great question. So in the beginning of this year, we actually voted as a city to do that. We are working in partnership with Robins Air Force Base and some other developers that come in that bring workforce housing into Warner Robins. And so we've already voted for that. We've already voted to bring it in. We're just waiting for the companies to come up and do that. And so that we can work with them to put some workforce housing inside of Warner Robins. The whole council is all for that. This administration is all for that. We know it's a need. I tell people all the time, I get these, we're building way too many apartments, but what they don't understand is as soon as these apartments go up and they open up, they fill up. And these people are coming in our city. And unfortunately, that's driving up the price of rent, and we get that. So there is a big need for workforce housing in Warner Robins, and we're going to address that as it comes in. So we've already partnered up. Like I said, Mr. James, we've already partnered up to welcome that inside of the city, Warner Robins, and look forward to continuing that to make sure that people have housing. We have 4 brand new missions coming to Robins Air Force Base. 2 are right now in the process of getting online. And so we got a lot of people coming to Warner Robins, and we got to put some people somewhere. So workforce housing is definitely on the horizon for Warner Robins.
All right. And Mr. Carter, if you would like to address that before we do go with your closing remarks, you can go ahead and go with that and I'll answer the question. How would you help the city support the efforts to bring affordable housing to the area?
Thanks for the question, sir. Yeah, the same thing. We know the city growing, people coming in from everywhere, here to Warner Robins. So with workforce housing, I do think we need more of it. And with the price of rent going up so much, we need to make sure that we have homes that's, affordable for our new citizens that's moving here in the area. Also want to make sure, something to look at next year, even just the homeowners, not just those with workforce housing. And also possibly rolling back the millage rate. That's something else that I want to look into as well, that I feel like could, in a way, directly, indirectly help with the increase with rent as well. Because the property taxes go up, and landowners, they increase their rent. So we can also help those who, if they don't want to live in workforce housing, they could just possibly rent a house as well. So different things I'm looking at that I want to, bring to the team once I'm elected. But I support workforce housing as well.
Your closing arguments. I mean, not closing arguments. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. End of the day, just like I said, everyone got to start somewhere. Like my opponent, like I said, he ran 4 years ago. That was his first time. Just want to let the citizens of Warner Robins know I truly do care. I want to try to bring more businesses here so we're not just dependent on the base. The base is very important, but we need other corporations here in the city too, just in case. Also, the entire city share the wealth, north side of Warner Robins needs some help over here. I think we could definitely invest more on this side of town as well. I want to get in, and like I said, with the downtown development, help those with disability, help homeless people. Looking at someone who truly care, man. And I'm be out in the city, that'd be my job, not just as councilman, but around the city, seeing people asking, hey, what I'm missing, because no one have all the answers, but I do want to interact with the citizens here in Warner Robins and see how I can improve as a councilman once elected. So at the end of the day, just leave everybody with, hey, I truly do care. That's the reason why I'm running. I get it, some people run for their own ego, and I really want to serve with character, honesty, and integrity. And I just need the opportunity to prove myself. And if elected, I will not disappoint. So thank you all, and get out and vote. Early voting ongoing right now to November the 3rd. Please, get out there and exercise your right. So at the end of the day, just hey, you looking at a candidate that truly do care and want to bring change to the city. And there's nothing to do here in Warner Robins. It's about to change once I'm elected. So thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Carter, and thank you, Mr. Bibb. We appreciate having you both being able to take some time out of your busy schedule to speak with us today. And so we will definitely want to thank the candidates of the Warner Robins Post 2 City Council race. Demetra?
Thank you, Marvin. Yes, thank you to the Warner Robins City Council candidates for attending our public forum and allowing our citizens to get to know you better. And now we're going to move forward on to our Centerville candidates who have been patiently, very patiently waiting for their opportunity. Mr. Edward Armijo and Mr. Larry Word. So we will start with each of you two candidates, same rules. You will get 2 minutes to answer the question. And Mr. Armijo, I will start with you with the first question. The city of Centerville outgrew the recycling center years ago, and there have been discussions of expansion. Is the city addressing this need, and do you plan to support those efforts?
So the answer is yes. I do support that effort. And has the city taken a look at the future of the recycling center? They have. And so we've shared those interests with Houston County and with Warner Robins and our surrounding cities. We're pleased to, what we're planning on doing is placing a larger recycle center in the same area as the Public Works, Centerville Public Works. And we're wanting to expand it. And so that way we've got free, safe flowing traffic in and out and enough containers and stuff to support the 3 days that we have now, may even expand more than that. And so, yes, we do find that, I've received tons of compliments. I work there as a volunteer on the weekends, on occasions when I can. And I hear so many compliments from the individuals who use the recycle center. They love it. I mean, and I love it. I mean, I just enjoy watching how many people of all age groups that come in there to recycle, and it gives me an opportunity to meet them and hear their concerns. And I'm also pleased to let them know as they talk with me that we are expanding and we are moving, and that's in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Word, the same question. The city of Centerville outgrew the recycling centers years ago, and there have been discussions of expansion. Do you plan to support efforts to expand? Make sure you unmute yourself.
There we go. My system's a little slow. Yes, I firmly believe that anything that can be recycled should be recycled. That's just basic common sense. The planet has finite resources, and we have the ability to overpopulate this planet and nothing flat.
Awesome. Thank you for your answer. I'll hand it over to Marvin.
Excuse me. Sorry about that. I'm getting me a bottle of water. And we're going to keep on moving. Now, the next question for Mr. Armijo. What are your priorities for the city of Centerville for the next 4 years?
Unmute yourself, Mr. Armijo.
There we go. Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Number one priority is to see Centerville grow. This is a beautiful, beautiful community, beautiful city, and we're building. We're building. We got a lot of new developments coming in, more citizens coming in, and it's important for us to look in the future and really apply our vision and act on it. We're talking about town center, talking about further development of the park, widening roads, all kinds of improvements in the city to help traffic, to help our citizens have a safe place and a safe environment to go to. One of the things I enjoy the most is when I drive by City Park and I see that the water park part of the park completely packed with children, all having a great time. Families sitting out there having picnics. I mean, what we envisioned and what we had planned for City Park has not only just blossomed into something very beautiful for our community, and so we're looking forward to further development of our city.
All right, sir. Now we'll take that to the next question, Mr. Word. Same question for you. What are your priorities for the city of Centerville over the next 3 years? You can unmute yourself, sir. There you go.
Okay, my priorities are revenue, revenue, revenue. How do we do this? The EPA, Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, has $27 billion worth of grants they plan on passing out in the next year to nonprofit organizations and to green energy sector companies. I would dearly love to see nonprofit organizations such as sororities run crash courses in teaching recent graduates and soon to graduate college students how to apply for these grants, how to get these grants. And I would love to see these young people start businesses, put up a lab to research improvements in battery storage, software improvements. There's room for tons of improvement on EVs. They are a work in progress. Yeah. Not only that, you've got Q Cells down in Dalton that is producing and going to continue to produce large amounts of solar cells for rooftop to generate electricity. I see no reason why Georgia can't be producing a big percentage of the parts that go into the manufacture of those cells. I would like to see small light industry, facilities go into Centerville. We're a small town. We don't have room for a whole lot, but we can do that much. That will bring in revenue.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Word. So we'll go to the next question. Mr. Word, affordable housing is a nationwide issue. Is the city of Centerville, or do you plan to use your efforts for the city of Centerville to obtain affordable housing in Centerville area? Oh, unmute.
All right. Am I on now?
Yes.
You can tell I'm new at this, but I'm getting the hang of it here. Okay, yes, affordable housing is a huge priority, but it's more than just affordable. It's the right approach to affordable housing. Rather than building apartments, we should be building co-op style apartment complexes and buildings where the residents actually get to own those apartments. Our young people who are just starting out with children, they should be able to buy a place to live and start building equity from the get-go. And instead of going through, well, I rented for 10 years and then I finally got that down payment. So yes, we need more affordable housing, but it needs to be housing that young people can afford to buy.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Word. Mr. Armijo, same question. Affordable housing is an issue nationwide. Is the city of Centerville planning to address the affordable housing need in this area?
So the answer is yes. The mayor and council has been working very closely with the Georgia Department of Community Affairs in developing these properties. And I think most of you have probably seen the property going up in the mall area that has been very successful for the first phase. They're building a second set of apartments. What we're trying to do, everyone's talking about affordable housing, but we're also utilizing it to attract those professionals. Those individuals are doctors or nurses or law enforcement people, all those kinds of folks who are looking for something that, and some of them may not even live here permanently. A lot of them use those types of housing developments to support them during the weeks that they're here before they go home. So we are certainly open to that idea, have been working on it for the last 4 years, and possibly have some others down the road that we're considering and working with the Department of Community Affairs on. So I thank you for that question.
Thank you for your answer. Marv, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you. Now, all right, we've already talked about, at least touched a little bit upon the creation of Center Park, but what progress outside of that has Centerville made towards a town center master plan? Mr. Armijo?
Great question. So, yeah, so it's not off the board. It's still very much in our vision. It's still very much in our 5-year plan. The mayor and council typically meet every year to discuss our strategy going forward. What is it that the city wants to build, and how do we do that? And how do we sustain our departments and our employees and our workforce? And so all that ties together. But we are looking at not just first getting the center part built out, then work in town center. But we still have those plans, and as my counterpart in Warner Robins has said, that all this stuff costs money, and it takes time to lay out plans and work out our how to be able to fold this out. And so we are working on that currently, and I would look forward to the park being pretty much finished this year or next. I know we're putting in the children's park, and we're looking at the amphitheater that will go in the park, get those done, and then move on to town center, which we will have, a center drive. Now, I don't know if anybody has seen the plans, but it's going to be very nice, and something that's well overdue, not just for Centerville, but Houston County and Middle Georgia. Thank you.
Mr. Word, outside of the creation of Center Park, what progress would you like to see Centerville make towards a town center master plan?
That is an excellent question. Yeah, the town center park is a trophy piece. It's something that, all of the residents can point to with pride, can make use of, but as has been stated over and over again, it's a matter of what your financial priorities are. Much as I would love to see it completed, I feel it may be necessary to slow it down some in order to devote more revenue and resources toward preserving home ownership of our current residents, toward helping our current residents keep their homes habitable. Because if it's all said and done with, government is responsible to the people that they represent. That is the purpose of government, is to take care of those people, help them with the necessities that they need in their life. Government oftentimes involves making hard choices between what they want to have, what they have to have. And until we can get more revenue coming in, people come first.
Awesome. Thank you for that answer, Mr. Word. So our next question is, we'll start with you, Mr. Word, so don't mute yourself. How will you address the need to fill city vacancies in Centerville?
You're talking about employment vacancies?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Basically, first you need to discover why there are employment vacancies. Talk to the remaining employees to, get some kind of insight into why the previous employees left. That gives you a direction to go in, something to plan on. It tells you what you need to fix to make, their employment not only more enjoyable, but more rewarding, and to create loyalty among an employee base. If you take care of them, they will take care of you. If you treat them with respect and honesty, then they will treat you that way.
Awesome. Thank you for your answer to that question. Mr. Armijo, we'll give you the same question. How will you address the need to fill city vacancies for employees?
So, pay. Okay, that's the truth. Pay. We've got the best employees around, I think. As I go into each of the departments, which I do spend time going to our public works department, fire department, police department, our city administrative building, our legal buildings. We've got some dedicated workers. We've got some employees that have been there for years. But the struggle that we have is that we are a small city. And the challenge that we have is that when other cities, other municipalities increase their pay, then naturally anybody who needs, who's looking for more income will, be attracted to that. And so we have to be creative in what we're doing, and also be protective of our taxpayers' funds, of the taxes. We have to manage our budgets as well as we can, and still try to keep our employees. They love working for Centerville. If you ask them, those that have left have said they loved working for Centerville as well, but the pay just wasn't what they would receive elsewhere. So pay, I think, is the number one issue. I think that we treat our employees very well. We have some great benefits for them, and we care about them. We really do, and they care about us, and they take great care of the citizens of Centerville. And I thank God for them every day.
Thank you, Mr. Armijo, for that. Thank you. Marv?
All right. Now, before we go to closing statements for both of you, we'll check to see if we have any questions from the moderator. From our audience, our viewers.
I'm checking right now. Marv? Any, for my people who are watching the chat for me? Let's see. Okay, so we have one from Valencia Lowe. There has been a burned and abandoned house on Collins Avenue for about 5 years. At what point does the homeowner have to do something with the property? We'll let you handle that first, Mr. Armijo, and then we'll go to you, Mr. Word, to see what your opinion on that as well.
Okay, so unfortunately, situations like that are not left there because we left them there, or we choose not to do anything about it. In most cases, it's tied up in the legal issues, insurance issues, and things that don't happen as fast as all of us would like to have them happen. I agree that the property needs to be cleaned up and repurposed, but at this time, nobody can touch anything until all that work is done. And so that's basically where we're at with that property.
Mr. Word, do you have any opinion on that?
I would just like to say that Mr. Armijo in this matter is absolutely correct. The city's hands are tied as long as there's some type of legal issues with the property. It could be anything from the owners have died and, the heirs are fighting over it, to any number of other possibilities. But I have the utmost of confidence in the city of Centerville to do something positive about it as soon as they can.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Word. So we have another question from a citizen in Centerville. Let's see. Let me see. Okay, for Centerville, with all of the growth, how do you plan to keep the city safe? So we'll start with that, Mr. Word. What is your opinion on keeping the city of Centerville safe?
Keeping a city safe basically amounts to visibility of its police force and having enough officers actually roaming around to where the majority of the citizens at least see an officer every couple of hours. Presence is a great deterrent. You know, if Centerville needs to hire a few more officers, which my understanding is that there are openings now, there are shortages, you know, then we need to prioritize getting those positions filled. And as the city grows, creating and fulfilling even more positions, you know, so that our officers are visible.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Word. Mr. Armijo, same question. How do you plan to help keep the city safe?
Very good question. And I'd like to compliment Chief Duncan, who's the chief of police for our police department, does an outstanding job with his officers, ensuring that our public is protected against crime. The other part is that I am, like I said, I'm a firm believer in neighborhood watch. Neighborhood watch, Crime Stoppers, are two avenues, definitely, you know, eyes on to call and report suspicious activity. Our police officers are on the road. They do spend a lot of time with our community, working with them and solving crimes. But neighborhood watch is really the best solution to solving our own crimes and having the communities involved with protecting each other. And I'm kind of proud to say that Centerville has kept crime down very well these past few years, quite a few years. And so even though they may be a small police department, they do an outstanding job. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Armijo. We have one more question that we'll take. And I'll let Marv take this one.
All right. Now, any plans for ordinances on parking in city roadways? We'll let Mr. Ford handle that first. Or Mr. Word, I'm sorry, Mr. Word. Any
That's
plans
quite
for
all right.
ordinances?
All right, plans for changing of city ordinances regarding parking on roadways. That's actually an issue I haven't given any thought to yet. You know, I'm actually very, very new at this. I have great plans. I have a lot of good ideas, but I haven't thought of everything yet. So I'm afraid I can't be of much help with you at this moment.
That's fair. That's fair. Mr. Armijo?
Thank you, sir. That's also a great question. And I'd like to thank whoever asked that question, because currently there is an ordinance that people could be cited for if they're blocking the roadway, not necessarily parking in the roadway. There are some of our communities that were built with smaller roadways, and they are discouraged to park on the road so that people are allowed to go back and forth without being hindered by vehicles just parking everywhere. Anytime that we see or are informed of roadways that are blocked, our department is there to clear the road and to make sure that people understand that it is a violation and they will be cited. And so we do take that seriously, because in case we have to get an emergency vehicle down there, an ambulance, a fire truck, any one of those types of vehicles needs to have the roadway clear. And we support that 100%. And with that question, I am going to take it back to the city council and review that ordinance and see if there's anything better that we can do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Marv, I have one last question, and then we'll let our candidates give their final word. We got one last question in the chat. So we'll start with you, Mr. Armijo. Would you all support a community development committee of local citizens to help address Centerville's growth?
The answer is yes. And so we have an economic development director who In the past, we had a housing committee for Centerville, which was very much like what this individual is asking for, where we sat down and talked to several citizens from different areas of Centerville about blight housing, about roadways, about the development of the city and so forth. And they were very much a part of our development of Center Park. And so it is time to do that again. And so I would look forward to hearing something more coming out of the city council concerning the, let's say, the resurrection of the community development committee. So you hear more about that. That's a very good question. And it's not that we haven't, once we got the park built, we need to go back to pressing on with doing what we had done in the very beginning, which was the right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Armijo. Mr. Word, would you like to tackle that as well? Will you support a community development committee of local citizens to help address Centerville's growth?
Absolutely. Yeah. Growth, once again, though, requires money. Yeah. So now if we can get that community development group to commingle with a green transition committee, in other words, put together a plan for how the community can grow in a energy conscious and green energy manner, and then go after some of that $27 billion to do it with.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Word. We appreciate that answer. So I'll hand it back to you, Marv, for closing statements.
All right, we're going to wrap things up. In closing, you each have 2 minutes. We'll start with you, Mr. Word.
Okay, I actually don't need a whole 2 minutes. I'll try and keep this brief. It's been a long meeting. I'm sure people are ready to go move on for a snack. Yeah. Local government, for a long time has been regarded as a part-time job. Yeah, it's something people did in their spare time after their regular job, after their club activities, after taking care of their other commitments. I am retired. I am not working another job. I am available 24/7 and intend to devote my full energy toward accomplishing for the city of Centerville what the city needs. We are in a time crunch here. That $27 billion is only up for grabs until next September. So a lot of work needs to be done by a lot of people to get as much of it into this area as we can. And if elected, I'm going to push and work just as hard as I can.
Thank you, Mr. Word. Mr. Armijo, you have the floor.
Certainly. I certainly appreciate the opportunity to come talk to everyone who's participated and those who have visited with us online. Centerville is a family-friendly community that works closely with our business partners. It is part of a fast-growing area of Georgia with outstanding schools, affordable housing, and convenient shopping and dining. Centerville provides the attractive environment for incoming families and businesses. It is the home to the Galleria Mall, the largest mall in the Warner Robins area, the Center Park, where we host major city events such as the 4th of July, Fall Fest, and Veterans Day observances. Let us not forget about our landmark Christmas light parade on the first Saturday of December. We are happy to have the First Baptist Church of Centerville, where they host single women oil changes, the First Methodist Church of Centerville, where they host a food closet, and of course the Centerville Community Church, where they sponsor summer sports camps, and the rest of the churches in our city. I'm proud to mention, one thing I wanted to also mention, and before we answer, because this is very important, and I know we were talking about assisting homeowners in repairing their houses and doing those things. The city of Centerville currently has community home investment program, which is called CHIP funds, available for specified areas in Centerville. For more information, go on the Centerville City website and there's a link to more information on the Community Home Investment Program. So there are things that we're trying to do to help everyone in our community in all kinds of ways that we can. Again, I thank everyone for this opportunity, and hope everyone has a blessed evening. And Mr. Word, thank you very much. I appreciate meeting you.
Thank you, sir, for that. I appreciate that. Kenitra?
Marv, I'm going to defer to the Warner Robins Alumni Chapter President, President Rosalind Mitchell.
Okay.
Okay, the time has come. What a great exchange of discussion. We've had a great time, powerful, packed evening. We would like to thank our moderators for this evening, Ms. Kenitra Burnett and Mr. Marvin James II of 13 WMAZ. Thank you so much for doing an outstanding job with delivering and facilitating the questions to our candidates. We thank you. We would also like to especially thank our candidates for sharing their time as well as their priorities with us today. Your expressed visions and desires have been enlightening to our audience. We would like to thank you so much to our viewers who have been here engaged the whole time. Thank you for being engaged in your community and remaining voter ready. We thank you as well for sharing your evening with us to experience the discussions, plans, and priorities of the candidates. And thank you for sharing your concerns as Houston County residents and voters. Remember to early vote and also show up to the poll on November 7th if you cannot be there to early vote. Of course, we could not do this without our technology team, so we would like to thank our outstanding technology team for facilitating this experience for us this evening. Thanks for helping us to bring a smooth experience to all who have tuned in this evening. Have a great rest of your evening.
Marvin, I'll let you have the very last word.
Okay, well, again, I want to thank you, Kenitra, for joining me and us actually tag teaming this event today. It was very helpful, and I hope that everyone gained a lot of knowledge from it. I did myself, especially living here in Warner Robins. So it is our hope that voters can make well-informed decisions as they prepare to vote during the special election for Warner Robins City Council Post 2 seat and the Centerville Post City Council 4 seat. Early voting has already started, and it continues through November 3rd, and Election Day, of course, November 7th. Remember, your vote is your voice. And we thank you again. Have a marvelous night. Be safe, and God bless.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, and thank you, everyone.
Good night. Thanks, everyone.